Hello and welcome back to the Viva Natural Health podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be covering the things that I would never do again as a naturopath, as a holistic health practitioner with now around 10 years in the industry, someone who's also been through the health journey and has just seen a lot of things come and go. I've also been a guinea pig for myself and my own research. So there are some really key things that it's going to be a hell no from me to ever do again. Some things I'm a little bit more up in the air with, not sure, think there's a time and a place, but with these ones, I am pretty set on sticking with them, and you're probably not going to hear me change my mind on them anytime soon. I mean, I'm always open to new research coming out, and if I do change my mind, you'll be the first to know. But these ones I have a pretty strong opinion on, and I wanted to share with you all today. If you are just the average person, maybe you're struggling with health issues, you have no formal qualifications or health training, I understand how overwhelming it can feel to be online and look at all these social media posts. And I just want to remind you that there is a big difference between a content creator, someone who's really good at making videos, and someone who is an actually skilled practitioner who's been in the trenches with clients for multiple years. Someone can be really good at making a very aesthetic morning routine reel or just regurgitating some health advice that they hear, and they're just better at filming high quality videos and they've got all day to edit it together. Versus practitioners, the best ones that I know, the social media presence isn't that great, or they have a team to do it because they are busy working away with clients. They are coaching. Some of these other people don't have any qualifications, and you don't necessarily need to share some of this information online. But if you are following that, you should know that a lot of them have never worked with a client in their life. They might have been through their own journey, but what works for them doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So just keep that in mind, a little reminder today for you all. And let's get into my no-nos as a naturopath and someone who knows their stuff when it comes to health and hormones and healing now. Just a heads up, if you are unfamiliar with my story, I started off training and doing this work for myself, purely as a selfish reason to heal myself from chronic health issues. I've always wanted to be in the health and wellness industry in some way, but I didn't really know this job was a thing. I didn't know what a naturopath was. I thought it would have to go down the dietitian route or a nursing route. I didn't resonate with either of those. So I'm glad that I've found this path because it really is the perfect fit for me. And it took me going through a ton of health issues, hitting rock bottom with my physical and mental health, to then study this, heal myself, and then spread the word to other people and open my coaching business, Viva Natural Health. So it's been a journey. I graduated in 2017. It's been a good few years. I've been actually working with clients and understanding that everyone's body's a little bit different, but there are some similar truths that just apply to a human body or apply to a healthy female hormone cycle. So number one on the list ties into this, and it is that I will never again go on hormonal birth control. This is something that I feel very passionately about. I used to be a little bit more like lax with it, and I wouldn't truly say how I felt online because I didn't want to be cancelled, and I would have these people attacking me and saying how the birth control pill is amazing, and if it works for you, great, but know that there are risks, and there are risks outside of the standard ones that we hear, like cancer and stroke risk with some of the hormones in there, which are very real, but we don't get told about the disruption that it has to our microbiome, the fact that it can alter our mate selection, so who you choose as a partner whilst on the pill might be very different to who your body desires and who you should be with and who you're more matched with once you're off the pill, because it changes your intuition, your hormones, your pheromones, even so many scary things. And I've heard time and time again stories of people being on the pill all throughout the relationship. They come off to try and start a family, and the woman is all of a sudden completely repulsed by her partner, and they just don't get along anymore, and it can end in divorce. So as soon as you can get off the birth control pill, the better. in my opinion. I was only on it for 2 years, but in those 2 years, it really messed a lot of things up for me. So I am just thinking of those people who are on it for 20 years, and there's a lot of people out there. They might not have symptoms day to day, but they just don't feel well, or they don't actually know what it's like to feel optimal and thriving. And in those 2 years, it messed me up in such a short amount of time too. So you could have been on it for a few months or a couple of decades. And even once you stop, that is the first step, but there is some repair work to be done afterwards. It can take time for your brain and your ovaries, that whole hormonal cycle, to start kicking in again. And that can be something that stresses women and feels like a extra time pressure as they approach their late 30s, early 40s, and they really want kids. That's why I promote doing this work many years before you want to have kids, ideally, or at least 6 months. Stop the pill, get your body back on track, restore the nutrient deficiencies, heal the gut damage that's been done, support your liver, clearing out those excess hormones, and you can recover from it. It's not a death sentence once you've been on the pill, you're screwed forever. And there are natural alternatives. Even the non-hormonal things like the copper coil might have some, not benefits, but less side effects than the others, but it can cause issues in its own ways, more with mineral imbalances and copper dysregulation. So my recommendation would be something like the fertility awareness method or good old condoms barrier method. They aren't going to interfere with your hormones and shut things down like it does on the pill. So what I use personally is the fertility awareness method. This is a lot easier when you know when you're ovulating, and you can track that and start to learn and trust your body and know that there's only a few days every single cycle, every month, that you can fall pregnant and you're fertile, and then the rest of the month it's impossible to fall pregnant once you've ovulated or if your body's not in that fertile window. So it can be done. I've been doing that for the past few years now successfully. I stopped the pill when I was 21. And yeah, I am highly in favor of the fertility awareness method. It can also support your conception if that's what you're looking for, because then you're going to identify your fertile window. So if you're using it for birth control now and then you come back around in a few years when you're ready to start a family, you're going to be more in touch with your body. So a really good book is Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. That is something that should be mandatory reading for all women to understand this. And I've done different podcast episodes over the year. So search fertility awareness. I interviewed Lisa Hendrickson Jack many years ago. She's got a really good book called The Fifth Vital Sign that you could check out as well. But that is number one. I would never go on hormonal birth control again, and that is a definite no from me. Second one is that I would never go plant-based or vegan again. Another one that I feel pretty strongly about, and this is something that I dabbled with more when I was studying at college, because the College of Naturopathic Medicine that I studied at, CNM, at the time, it was more promoting plant-based lifestyles. I think it's changed a little bit more now, and they do recommend or say that animal protein is okay. They're catching up with the research a bit more and probably realizing that the plant-based diet is affecting and harming a lot of people. Not so much plant-based, but no animal protein I'm talking about, because you can be plant heavy but still have some meat in there, some animal products. I just believe as humans, and what I've seen with my clients, that we require some animal protein and some animal products in order to thrive. And everyone's a bit different. The amounts, the types of proteins, the state that you're in your health journey might change the amount and everything that you need and your requirements. But I think that some nutrients, or I know that some nutrients like bioavailable retinol, vitamin A, is only found in plant-based, in animal proteins. Things like cholesterol, certain amino acids are very bioavailable and found in abundance in animal protein. And you can just struggle to get enough protein on a plant-based diet, because if you are also more prone to blood sugar issues and insulin resistance, the proteins from a plant-based diet are also very high in carbohydrates and starches. And if you've got digestive issues or insulin resistance, it could just be worsening those things for you to try and reach your protein goals. There's a difference between grass-fed, organic, locally raised, pasture-raised meat versus hot dogs from a can. So we're not talking about crappy types of meat, low quality, poor quality. They can be inflammatory, and I would recommend avoiding those as much as possible. But to say that all animal protein is inflammatory and causes high cholesterol and cancer is just a real myth. And the clients who I support on a transition away from a plant-based diet end up improving and healing a lot faster than those who stay on a plant-based diet. I actually don't work with people who are on fully plant-based diets anymore and don't eat animal protein, eggs or fish at minimum, because I just struggle, honestly. And some of the supplements I use can contain animal products as well. And it's just, I find it to be hard. And I don't want to promise them that they're going to get results if that is holding them back, which it can be a lot of the time. So my diet now contains plants and animals. I've been through times where it's been a bit more plant focused, a bit more animal focused. I've been through times where it has been vegetarian. I've tried that out very short term because I quickly realized it was not a good fit for me, and my body was strongly telling me to incorporate some red meat. I used to really struggle with low iron levels, so I just needed that big cut of steak at least once a week. And I was obsessed with eating chicken livers for a long time, and then I just sick of myself off with them because I'd have them multiple times a week, and my body was really telling me that's enough. I've fully restored my vitamin A and my iron levels. I can calm down, I can chill out a little bit on the liver. But your body can really communicate with you through cravings. We can be thrown off sometimes. If it's craving chocolate cake and pizza, it's probably not a true craving. It's more of a symptom of something else. But if you're craving sodium, if you're craving salt, if you're craving certain vegetables like celery, it could be the potassium, it could be the minerals in there. If you're craving a big cut of steak, you might be needing some iron or some zinc and vitamin like cholesterol that's in there that's not really in other foods in high amounts. Number 3 is I will never put my body through too much stress fitness wise, exercise wise. If you know my story, a lot of symptoms actually triggered for me after a good few months, maybe a few years, I can't quite remember, when I was 17, 18, of me over exercising. I was quite active at school, and then the year or so after I finished school and went to college, I wasn't really active at all and started to notice the changes in my body and my energy, didn't feel as good. That's what led me to join the gym, got very obsessed with it, started training twice a day, sometimes back-to-back classes for over an hour at a time, whilst also restricting and dieting, which is my next point. And that really messed me up. And it was the type of training that I was doing, and also the duration, and the fact that I wasn't nourishing myself or letting myself recover and regenerate and repair. The recovery side of things is just as, if not more important than the workouts that you're doing. How you're nourishing yourself, the quality of sleep that you're getting, your stress management. So I've changed the types of training that I've done throughout my healing journey, and I can tolerate a wide variety of things now, and I actually like to have a diverse workout schedule. I try to do a bit more cardio now. There was years that I didn't do any. There was years I couldn't lift any weights because I was so inflamed and exercise intolerant, and I just had to do yoga. And then there was times that yoga didn't work because I was struggling with joint pain and hypermobility, and it was just aggravating my joints doing so much stretchy stuff. And then there's been times where I've just done walking, and that has worked for me. So now, being at a good place in my health journey, being able to tolerate different types of workouts, I really love that. I also get bored pretty easily of things, so this helps to keep me motivated, and it's working well. But never again will I be waking up at 5 a.m. doing a HIIT class, fasted, and just stressing myself throughout my whole menstrual cycle too, and not listening to where I'm at and what my body's desiring. Sometimes I'll need extra sleep. Sometimes I am ready to go and wanting a quite strong, intense workout, and I'm gonna tune into that, support my body, come at exercise from a place of I'm doing this to feel better, not because I want to be skinny and lose a ton of body fat, because that didn't end well last time I did it. So I'm always going to be active and always going to love working out. And I understand and know that it's so beneficial for my body and my overall health, and metabolic health is something that I'm always wanting to work on. Well, that's just something that I've struggled with in the past with PCOS and blood sugar issues, but it won't be in detriment to my health, is what I'm saying. Dieting, similar thing. There's a time and a place for therapeutic diets, even things like elimination diets, but because I've been through super restricted periods with my food, at times out of necessity, because I was sensitive to literally everything that I was eating, fruits and vegetables, herbs and spices, different types of meat. I was histamine intolerant, so my food also had to be super freshly cooked. There was just a lot of restriction, and it served me to some degree. And there's a time and a place to cut out things like dairy and grain sometimes, and nuts and seeds, but I now want to keep my diet as diverse as possible because I know the stress and the food anxiety that can come from you cutting out all of these things, the nutrient deficiencies and the risks to your microbiome and things like your thyroid if you go super low carb. But I'm also not one of these practitioners who doesn't think there's a need for it sometimes. Like a ketogenic diet in some health issues can be therapeutic just to really get the body in this fat burning state and fuel the brain in conditions like epilepsy. If someone's super insulin resistant or type 2 diabetic, they might need a short-term low carb diet to allow the body to process glucose better, and then they can expand a little bit more. If they have zero muscle mass on them, the carb tolerance is going to be lower anyway. Some people do better with higher protein, lower fat. It's all a little bit different, but unless it's necessary, I won't be doing any strict diets down the line. I eat more of a 80-20 or 90-10 diet at the moment. I sometimes post pictures like I did the other week in summer of me eating some good quality ice cream or going out for a gluten-free burger and sweet potato fries. Love things like that, but that is not my norm. And I hope you understand that when I'm sharing it online. I always feel like I have to make disclaimers, but a lot of you have followed my journey and know that my ethos is if you need to be a little bit stricter, especially in the early stages, then that can work well for you. I've been through a lot of times of discipline and not straying away from the plan, but there's also room for me now to be more free with it and just live my life and enjoy a little sweet treat and a gluten-free cake every now and again, but I'm still practicing the foundations every meal. I'm having protein, I'm having healthy fats and fibers. I am moving my body every day. I am taking my supplements every day so I can get away with, so to speak, the not so health promoting products, but I don't do it in excess. And I have good self-control. I'm not one of these people who has a bite of a dessert and then everything goes out the window for the next couple of days and then I'll start again on Monday. I support my body and I respect my body so much, and I just want to look after myself. I crave the healthy foods. It's not an effort anymore for me to do so, and I can quite easily bring myself back to that because that's how my body feels and functions best. I don't ever fall and won't ever fall for fads and marketing again because I know what to look out for. I know the things that are tried and tested. I will experiment with things and I will try new things, but I always have a little eye open for anything that doesn't, it sounds a bit too good to be true. And I know what works for me and I will try different things and I'm open to switching things up if necessary, but the latest skincare serum, the new Amazonian berry that's found from the rainforest that's meant to be the best thing for your immune system. I'm just going to be a little bit more wary of that now because I know what goes into marketing and social media and messaging, and there's just brands and products popping up left, right, and center. And I want to always bring it back down to basics and make sure I'm doing that first. But then if there is a new snack bar, protein powder, greens powder that I want to try, I will, but it's not going to replace and it's not going to be a quick fix to what I'm already doing. I just want to check, are you addressing the healing foundations? Not sure what I mean. Well, these are the important factors that I believe that you need to address in order to be in optimal health and overcome your stubborn health issues and symptoms, whether that's chronic digestive issues, acne, hair loss, period problems, weight gain, anxiety, fatigue. I could go on. Because I want as many of you as possible to have this life-changing information, I've bundled together 6 of my juiciest and info-packed masterclasses priced at just £111. Not only are you getting these recordings, which are between 60 and 90 minutes long each, on the following subjects: the power of the subconscious mind, stress, trauma, and the nervous system, supporting your female menstrual cycle, mastering your metabolism, optimizing sleep, gut health and detox. You're also going to receive my healthy groceries shopping list and my favorite non-toxic products guide, which are both usually reserved for my one-to-one clients. Whether you're brand new to the holistic healing world or you've been trying to work on things for a while but feel stuck, I can guarantee there's something within this content that will help you to understand your next steps and what you're missing. Sometimes it's something so foundational that's being overlooked. Get instant access to the Foundations bundle today for just £111 by clicking the link in the episode show notes, and I can't wait to hear about what you've learned. Grab your pen and paper to make notes and get started today. Speaking of supplements, next one is that I won't ever stop taking supplements. The number of supplements might change, the supplements themselves might change. What I need now, which is quite minimal compared to what I've been on in the past, I'm actually currently going through my annual gut cleanse, my mini gut protocol that I do every year for at least 1 month, sometimes twice a year, just to keep my gut functioning well. If you want a bit more information on that, I did a poll on Instagram and people seemed interested, so maybe I'll do a podcast. Let me know if you want to see that. Send me a DM on Instagram, just sharing why I do it and what it entails. That could be something that I share, definitely. But with supplements, there are just things that we don't get enough of through food anymore. The soil is so deficient. We are up against a lot of things that stress our body and fill up our toxic bucket. They overwhelm our liver. Even if you live a non-toxic lifestyle and use clean organic beauty products and cleaning products in your house, as soon as you go out to the local restaurant or out in the city, outside your house, you're getting exposed to pollutants and pesticides and all these things. So the soil is also very depleted. Organic food, locally grown food is going to be high quality, but I just believe that in the modern day, each of us needs some supplements, but it's going to be individual to the person. Some people need some stress support. A lot of people need things like magnesium or minerals on a regular basis because we just burn through those really fast. If they're going through times of poor immunity, travel, they might need probiotics on board. If they're dealing with an inflammatory condition and they are getting that under control, maybe their supplement protocol and needs are a bit bigger. If they're going through a comprehensive gut plan and a big parasite cleanse, a lot of that requires some supplements and being quite strict with the schedule of it just to have the best effects. So now I think I'm on about 4 or 5 supplements. In previous years, I've been on 10 plus, sometimes 15 plus, not all in the same day. It could just be that I reach for things. I've got a supplement cupboard full of different products, like an emergency homeopathy kit and herbal medicines and throat sprays. I just love that, having a little apothecary of products that I can go to, or if my friends and family are sick, I'm the go-to gal for remedies. That'll always be me. So I just don't see myself ever going without supplements completely, but things are way more minimal at the moment than they have been in the past. Next one is that as a naturopath, as a functional medicine practitioner, as a holistic health coach, I won't see myself defaulting and going to medication and mainstream medicine for the first port of call ever again. There's a time and a place for it if it's an emergency situation, and if I'm not being stupid with it, if it's the need for an A&E appointment or a GP appointment because I've tried the holistic things, the herbal remedies first, then I'm going to do that. But it wouldn't be my first go-to when I have a headache or when I have something like a sore throat or I have some pain in the body. I will always now try the holistic things first. If I got a headache, I'm gonna make sure I'm hydrated, have my electrolytes, I'm gonna get some fresh air, I'm gonna do a bit of movement, I'm gonna take some magnesium, I'm gonna do a head massage, I'm gonna try and sleep it off, and then I'll try some supplements. I'll try some ginger, I'll try some cod liver oil, some anti-inflammatories, homeopathy, all of that. If it doesn't shift and it's getting worse or not changing, then you'll find me taking paracetamol or an ibuprofen or an antihistamine. Sometimes that can work better for my headaches because they tend to be histamine driven. But it's not going to be my first go-to. At the first sign of a sniffle, I'm not going to be going to the doctor's appointment. If a new symptom comes up, I'm going to explore the naturopathic functional route first because that's just not where they thrive. Unless it's a concerning symptom and I have the training to know what is a red flag versus what is something that is less serious. I could get a second opinion from a fellow practitioner, but I just want to stay away as much as possible from the medical system and the National Health Service, just to protect resources as well, in all honesty. But I'm also open to taking medications if necessary. I'm not one of these people who's completely against. That used to be me. I swung the complete other way because I felt very let down and disappointed by doctors and that whole world. Next thing, being someone who's health conscious, knowing what I know, knowing the importance of your morning routine, your circadian rhythm, hormone health. One of the worst things that you could do that I don't see myself doing again because of how detrimental it can be to your physical and mental health is waking up in the morning and first thing scrolling on social media, checking emails, getting straight into work. I think that it can be a bit unavoidable in some cases, not the social media bit, but working. Let's say you overslept and you literally have to just start work in 2 minutes and roll out of bed and get to your desk. That's different. But when you have control over it, and my schedule is more flexible being self-employed, but just starting your day on your phone, number one, but also in the social media work mode, go, 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 comparison, notifications, dopamine hit, it's just a real problem. And me switching that out for a different morning routine where I read or do my red light therapy, I meditate, do tapping, do visualization, just doing nothing, having a cup of tea or a matcha and sitting in the garden. That has benefited my health and my life in so many ways. I used to wake up and feel so anxious and stressed. And this is when nothing was really going on in my life. It was just the fact that I had a lot of adrenal issues, a lot of cortisol issues and anxiety. I'd start the day in a pretty much panic state that would disrupt my digestion and I just feel off for the rest of the day. So now it's so sacred to me to have this morning time, and a slower morning sets my day up for success. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour morning routine, but if you can just avoid going on your phone and definitely going on social media or starting work when possible, I think that's important. Even just the phone exposure in the morning, I purposely don't sleep with my phone near my bed. It's on the other side of the room, plugged in on charge, and even when my alarm goes off, I have to physically get out of bed to turn it off. This helps me get up and go first thing rather than rolling over, pressing snooze and going back to sleep. That's a little hack if you struggle waking up in the morning. And I turn the Wi-Fi off at night. I won't sleep with the Wi-Fi on. Times I do forget at times, but this will always be something that I do in future because I don't want to be frying my brain with my phone next to my head and the Wi-Fi on unnecessarily all night. So those are some easy ones for me. I will never again ignore my symptoms. I fully understand now the importance of nipping things in the bud, doing regular testing to make sure that I'm not running into any imbalances before it becomes very obvious and my body starts screaming at me. I will understand now that symptoms are my body's way of communicating with me. So if I get some weird rash on my arm, if I get a pain that's just not going away and getting worse, if my periods and my cycle starts going out of whack, I'm going to intervene pretty quickly because I want to be proactive and deal with it in the early stages because it's usually less complex then and easier to address and figure out what's going on rather than suppressing things, ignoring things, taking medications to just band-aid the problem. I am so tuned into my body now, and my health is my number one priority because when you've not had your health, you realize that it's the most important thing that you have. You can't have the types of relationships that you want or the success financially and in business that you want if you don't have your health. Everything just suffers as a result. So no, it's my number one top priority, and I am constantly like checking in with my body and working in collaboration with it rather than seeing symptoms as my body is failing, my body's broken, something's wrong with me, this is just genetic or how it's meant to be. I know the state of health that my body can be in now. As I get older, I'm not going to have the same energy that I do when I'm 50 as I do right now. Maybe I do. Maybe it's even better. I don't want to limit myself, but I know what is expected and what is normal. I can do lab tests to also confirm that, make sure I'm in optimal ranges, but I just see health and the human body very, very different now. Last few things, I would never focus purely on physical things when dealing with a health symptom. I have seen too many times there being an energetic, emotional, subconscious block at the root, or at least in combination with something physical. Let's take headaches again, for example. A headache could be due to something physical, and magnesium deficiency, stress in the body, muscle tension, dehydration, lack of sleep. But there's also usually an energetic component if it's more of a longer term thing. If there's just a one-off headache, doesn't necessarily mean it unless it's stress related, then addressing the stress is going to be part of the solution. But if it's this stubborn thing and you're doing all of the right things, you're hydrating, you're taking your supplements, it's just not going away, always explore the energetic, emotional, spiritual side of things because it could be linked to that. I have learned all about the role of trauma and stress and suppressed emotions and how they reside in the body. So I just don't look at health the same as I used to. I believe there's solutions and reasons for everything that's going on. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it is a bit more complex. But when working with clients or also looking at my own health, I take that just as seriously as what I'm eating. If I need to cry, I'll cry because for the first half of my life, I didn't. I just shut it down and thought it was strong of me to not cry when I felt like expressing emotions. I will rest if my body is really desiring that, but then I also can sense when it is coming from a bit of procrastination or self-sabotage. It just feels different in the body. And when you start to tune in with your intuition a bit more, I do have podcast episodes on that, how to strengthen your intuition from the start of the year. You can go back and listen. But it just serves you so well because then you know your body better than anyone else does. Instead of outsourcing your health constantly to other people or asking other people questions or for permission, you know you have that inner guidance system that is going to put you on the right path. And I made a separate point on suppressing emotions. There's a time and place to cry if needed. It might not be the most convenient or the right thing for you to just let it out in the moment, but clocking it, maybe coming back to it and revisiting it later in the day. So we have to be realistic. I don't expect you to start. If you feel anger come up and you're in a conversation with someone or in a work meeting, you don't need to let it out right then and there. But once you get home or on the drive home, scream at the top of your lungs, scream into a pillow before you go to sleep at night. Journal it out. Do some EFT tapping. Explore why you felt so triggered or what's coming up. Where is this anger stemming from? And processing it later at some point. And it's never too late. So if you experience a lot of stress and trauma in childhood, it would have been great if we were given the tools back then to release it, but most people weren't. So it's not too late to go back now if needed. You don't always have to revisit and bring up old traumas and wounds to heal and break free from them. But if you feel called to and if you feel like you need to do that, then it's not too late. And last but not least, I will never again obsess over clean eating and doing everything perfectly to the point of orthorexia and perfectionism and obsession, because I know that it can be an extra source of stress. It can be unnecessary and it can just be causing more pressure and more anxiety in the body. We can't be perfect. We're never going to be in perfect health. We can keep striving to be better. We can keep striving to improve labs if that's what you're working on, and obviously get rid of symptoms if you're having them. We don't want to just put up with them. But old me, when I was 20 odd years old, I wouldn't ever eat out because the restaurants would cook in canola oil. I wouldn't eat anything that had refined sugar in. I wouldn't have a drop of dairy for about 10 years because it would trigger my skin. But sometimes me just having a bit more freedom and just going out and focusing more on the benefits of socialization and eating at a restaurant and the fact that I don't have to cook it and the fact that I'm with my friends or family, that can be health promotive. So we are always going to be exposed to toxins and stressors. Those things are inevitable. But if we can make our body more resilient and if we can flood our body with good stuff, it can handle the not so great things a bit better. And you stressing that something that you're eating is not organic, or you had a drop of canola oil, if that's sending you into a tizzy, I think you need to work more on that and the control issues and the stress and perfectionism. That's going to be causing more inflammation and stress than the actual thing itself. And that is a message to previous me. So if you're in that same position, you are definitely not alone. So as you're listening to this, in the next few days, I'm actually going to be on holiday and going on vacation, a little last minute trip to Lanzarote, which I'm very excited about. I will be documenting that on social media, hopefully getting some more sun before the final few months of 2025. I can't believe it's going to be September real soon. My birthday's in September. I'm turning 31. It feels like 2 minutes ago since my 30th birthday, and I don't know what I'm doing yet, but hopefully it's a good one. This might be a little early birthday celebration on holiday, and I hope you're having an amazing summer, whatever you're up to. There is also my mini coaching package, Summer Reset. It's open for the last week or so of August, and then it's going away. And there's only, at the time of recording, 2 spaces left on Summer Reset. If you don't know what that entails, I'll just tell you quickly. It entails 2 at-home lab tests. So 2 of my favourite tests, the HTMA hair tissue mineral analysis and a full thyroid panel and blood test looking at certain nutrients like B12, folate, iron. You can do them at home. This is open to UK residents only because the blood test isn't available outside of the UK. I might do something different for other countries at some point, but right now it's just UK only. And once we get the results back, should take a few weeks, so you could have results for your symptoms, whatever you're struggling with, but definitely fatigue, acne, brain fog, hormonal issues, weight gain, cold hands and feet, slow metabolism, anything like that. This would be really good. But if you're not sure, just message me. I purposely use these 2 tests because they're good full body across the board tests, and they're just super important for everything else to work properly. So if you're trying to heal your gut, balance your hormones, detox your liver, if you have a low thyroid or if you have mineral deficiencies, it's just not going to be effective, your plan. So everyone can benefit from these blood tests at least once a year, and other lab tests. So after a few weeks in September, we could have your results back. I'd then send you an interpretation video explaining the results. This will be at least half an hour or so. You've got the video to watch back then. You'll understand why you've got these symptoms, what's going on, how everything's interconnected together. And then we'll have a one-to-one session together. So a 60-minute coaching session. You've already watched the video, so you'll maybe have some questions about your results. And then I'm going to give you recommendations in terms of diet, lifestyle, and supplements for you to be moving forward with. This is the first time that I've offered something like this, and it was just after years of people requesting it, and I was just hesitant against it because I do think in some cases the 6-month package is more effective. But the good thing is with this one is that if you do the summer reset, you can then upgrade to Reprogram, which is my signature 6-month program. So you just pay the difference. So it's like a little opportunity to experience what it is like to be coached and get some tests under your belt, and see how you feel. And then if you do need that extra support, you can upgrade and do the full signature 6-month program. And a few people have done that already because they loved the session. They just wanted a taster. They've not worked with someone before. They don't know what it all entails. So this is a really good opportunity. Even if you don't want to do it, are there any friends or family members that you think could benefit from doing some tests like this, which aren't really done on the NHS? Minerals, definitely not, but even a full thyroid panel, to get that on the NHS, it's near enough impossible. And I think it's something that you should be doing at least once a year. So once we've had your results back, we'll have that one-to-one session. You'll have a chance to chat with me and get some expert advice. And I would love to have you involved. If you want one of the final spaces for this, then send me a DM over on Instagram. I'm at Viva Natural Health, or you can email me at enquiries@vivanaturalhealth.co.uk. It's enquiries with an E. And just tell me a little bit about what you're dealing with, what you want to work on, and we'll see if it's a good fit. The price for this is significantly lower as well than my one-to-one package. So for the 2 lab tests and the interpretation video and the consult with me, it's just one payment of £497. So no brainer if you are feeling stuck, or maybe you're new on your health journey and you're like, I don't know where to start. This would be an amazing opportunity for you, and I would love to have you inside. The people who have already been through it or are waiting for the results and things, they're loving it so far. So it's been really fun to offer this new offering for you all. And just get in touch if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're up to.